Howdy folks, Kirk and Jay here with Giordano Plastering. Today I want to follow up on a video we did a couple weeks ago and got rained out many times. This is called the STO system, and the STO system, S-T-O system, is polyurethane or polystyrene, polystyrofoam, whatever you want to call this stuff. It's the board with 20 gauge wire over it, and then we put 3/8 of an inch of stucco. Why are places like Arizona, Florida, and any very hot areas having this system being done for the last 50 years? Actually, Drive-It came to this country in 1970. So this system is done a lot. Well, we're next to an airport. It's loud, so the board has an R factor, meaning it cuts down on the noise. It cuts down on the heating. It cuts down on everything. The R factor is very important, guys. In fact, if you look at it, I could shake it around. There's 25, 30 homes here, and we did a lot of them 40 years ago. Back then, we were just doing the stucco work. We weren't doing, Jay and I weren't doing all the lath. This is Jay's job, by the way, and what we're doing is we showed how to do this, and I had a lot of people ask a lot of questions. They said, Kirk, all you did was explain it. I'll show some of the things how we do it, guys. Okay, these guys opened the wall right here, and they opened it on the other side. Why? They put a 30 or 40 foot I-beam in there, a steel beam. They put that beam in there so that they could look out of their breakfast nook and they wouldn't have the post to look at. So the beam eliminated the post. Now, if you check this view out, that's why they did it. Now, that's a magnificent view on a pretty clear day. You see the San Francisco, you see all the boats going around, and usually there's a lot of joggers. This is a jogging path too, a walking path. But for the other day where folks said, man, you didn't show how you did it, they started off with 2 layers of paper, and when they tore it all off to put the beams in there, they decided to put new windows while they were at it. So over here, they put new sliding glass doors. So they took all the stucco off. The paper was in excellent condition. For 40 years, it was looked like brand new. I'll put the previous video, which shows all of that, in the description, but we added an additional layer of paper. It's grade D. It's 60-minute paper. It's the stuff that is called for today. And, anyway, I'll show you how we adhered this board on here, guys, because people said, gee, you didn't show much, but we were trying to prove a point, and it was raining us out. You take either a roofing nail. That's a 2-inch roofing nail. Why 2 inches? We got to go through styrofoam. The styrofoam is 1 inch. So what we like to try to do is get an 3/4 of an inch into the stud. So what we did was we put these nails in here, and we were tacking them down, just embedding them just slightly. Or if you guys, that's just to hang the board. Then to fasten the because you got to put some screws or nails to hold the board in place, guys, before you get gung-ho and start your stapling off of the wire. Then, okay, here's what we use too. We use these big washers here. You can buy these washers right here at West Side Building Supply. That's a humongous box. And these are the best washers to get, guys, because they're flexible. And you could see them right here. Well, I didn't need to put these washers in here, but we're trying to prove a point. Okay, if you want to get your styrofoam on the wall itself after you've done your membrane, and I would advise 2 layers of 60-minute paper. That's code. You take these right here. Now you can fasten them this way too. The idea is fasten it down so that there are some fasteners holding on the styrofoam. And you might think, well, man, don't I've got to Put wire, won't that hold it? Yes, it will. But you want to put, at least, you want to put some staples just to hold it in place. Now, one of the comments I got was, I was showing a 6-inch screw. And the guy says, Kirk, aren't you worried about hitting electrical wires or conduit or pipes? And I said, well, no, technically 4-inch screws would work, but we had these 6-inch screws from a job we did about 4 months ago. That fellow had he was an architect, and he wanted 4 inches of styrofoam and 1 solid inch of stucco. That was overkill, but he was an architect, and I usually tell folks, if you want us to do it, even if it's overkill, we'll do it. We've got videos, you name it, we've got the video to cover it. So I was installing these screws right here into the stud, and as I'm installing it, you want to just embed it, just slightly. If it's not embedded, it's hard to cover with stucco. Now the stucco we're going to use, see the house, that's a knockdown dash. Now that stucco is about 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick. Can't get around that. While I'm at it, guys, I'll point out something extremely important. We got a lot of these guns, but this is my best gun. It's a Makita. Yeah, we used to have an Amazon site, but it wasn't worth the $30 to $40 or $20 to $30 we made a month to show all the tools we used, so we got rid of that because it was taking up, it was too time consuming. But anyway, this Makita here has an adjustment, and so if we put a staple on here, it won't go past and rip this extremely fragile styrofoam, because what we tend to do is, like this Jay's job, and back in the day when I was doing a lot of stow, all we did was we put the boards on. The boards were horizontal and they had scratch lines in the board. Then we'd put the 20 gauge wire. 20 gauge wire, guys, is for chicken coops or for tile work, like in your kitchen or showers. It's not rated for stucco unless you're going to go 3/8 of an inch. So we're 3/8 of an inch, so it calls for this 20 gauge wire. If I tried to put 17 gauge wire, it wouldn't work because our grounds are we only got 3/8. We could only put 3/8, and the 3/8 is simply to protect the styrofoam. Okay, moving on. What I'm doing now is I'm just mudding some joints, but I want to prove a point. I'm going to go grab something. So, well, before I do that, let me show you this simple technique here. Get my handy dandy square trowel this time, guys. No, I'm not using the pull trowel. And what this stuff is Polybond. Now, Polybond is what you adhere styrofoam molds to. This is a cementitious adhesive. How strong is a cementitious adhesive La Habra's Polybond? Well, for example, a fella called me about eight years ago. He said, Kirk, all the molds fell off of a building I was doing. I said, did you leave the screws or nails? He said, no. I said, so you just put only the Polybond? And he says, well, yeah, and I've done that too, but only for jobs that are on say, lower areas. There was winds about 100 miles an hour. It blew off a whole bunch of big crown molds. Each mold weighed about 75 pounds. So if on that rainy day in San Francisco they would have hit somebody, could have killed them. So what I tend to do is leave your screws in, guys. What we did on here is we put the Polybond, and then it's permanent, guys. That way it won't come off. But now I've got to fill these holes, and so I'm using the Polybond, which is a cementitious adhesive, and that is to get where the raw stucco is and to cover these holes up. So I'm only pointing that out to prove a point that if you're going to do styrofoam, we have about 8 videos on how to hang styrofoams also. You name it, we have done it. So this was raw styrofoam. So you can't put stucco over raw styrofoam. Anyway, that's Polybond. We're going to finish this up in a minute. All right, guys, I had to go to the truck and get these pieces of weep screed. Now, this weep screed is what we have on the bottom. This is 1 3/8 inches. Now, this weep screed is for traditional stucco. So it's only 7/8 of an inch. So you can see the difference. This one toward that one. This one fits in there and you still got quite a ways. So you got to get the right weep screeds if you're going to do this, guys. Now I'll show you something else too. If you're going to do it, guys, a lot of the boards come pre-cut. Now this is cut right here. But if you really look at it, it's only cut, say, it's cut the first 1/4 inch. The other 3/4 of an inch are not cut. So, I mean, this is Jay's job, his rules, so he put it on here. And you would think, well, why do I need to tape all the vertical and horizontal joints if it's only cut a 1/4 inch? Jay likes to do it anyway. He likes to caulk all his staples. He likes to do a lot of stuff. His job, his ways. I had a guy once tell me, Kirk, you're kind of anal in the way you do things. I said, man, I don't like that word. You can call me meticulous. So Jay is also very meticulous like me. You know that old saying, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Anyhow, I want to show you the drive-it system now because I used to do drive-it when I first got in the union, and we did it for a couple years. We did it a lot. Okay, here's the difference between drive-it and stow. Drive-it does not use wire. Drive-it uses mesh. At the top of the building, above 8 feet, they use this mesh right here. At the bottom, they use a panza mesh. It's 25 times thicker than this. It's named after a German tank. That's how strong it is. So if you're at the bottom of any of these Kaiser buildings or structures, you can't hit it with a baseball bat. Or you could, but it's not going to dent it because it has the panza mesh in this. But here's something that this particular stuff has stickum on it. You don't want to do the drive-it system or your house. I just got stopped yesterday at a store, and the guy was asking me how to do the styrofoam or the mesh on the ceiling. And I said, man, I'll send you a video on it because it'd take me forever to explain it. You don't want to, this has got stickum on it. You don't want to do this and then put your mud or your drive-it because now you lose half of the adhesive. What you want to do is put your adhesive, whether or not it's plaster or whether or not it's this is Polybond. What you want to do is put your material on first, then put it on, then plaster it on. Now that right there, now you've got full adhesive, guys. It's on both sides and it's embedded. That's the same way you do a ceiling or an interior wall if you're going to try to reinforce it. It's funny because I was at the marketplace in Alameda yesterday and a guy walked up and said, hey, you're Kirk, right? And I thought, yeah. And he was asking me, and I was trying to explain this, and I said, dude, here's my card. I'll send you a video on how it's done. Anyway, guys, just tried to cover some points that first video we did, which we put up like a week ago. I didn't show a lot of how we're doing things. Now I'm trying to just show how we're doing things, and again, it's Jay's job, his rules. He caulks all his staples, and if you're going to use a caulking, guys, he's using a polyurethane caulking. They got Moist Stop, they got Sikaflex, and when these guys broke all this out, I said, now, dude, how am I supposed to get caulking 2 inches that way? So we end up with the expanding foam. You guys ever use expanding foam? It goes 2 inches that way, but it also mushrooms all over the place. So yesterday we had to rasp off all of the excess, and I did have some fire-rated expanding foam. I said, let me have the fire-rated stuff. It doesn't expand as much, but when we come back to do the stucco, we're going to have to take some of those slobbers off, which they'll pop right off. Anyway, guys, you have any other questions about how to do drive it, how to do stow, and why this board is so important for homes in very hot areas, write the comment, send it to me. If I could explain it, I'll do the best I can. My name is Kirk. Jason's on the camera. His job, his ways. We thank you for watching, and as usual, we'll see you guys on the next one.
All right, folks, we want to thank you for watching how we do things in the stucco and plastering world. We really enjoy your questions and comments, so if there's anything you want to learn about that we can show you, please let us know in the comments. And as always, from the entire Giordano family, we'll see you on the next one.